This is an amazing background. Two of these very, very good-looking people are right behind this backdrop, and Lindsay and I were delving into the art of green beans. Now, one of my favorite things, also one of the items that I understand is going to be on the menu Friday night at Brian and Lindsay Demeter's, where I will be splitting a set with Landon Nolan. As you can see, my man Obi-Wan sitting in the backdrop, baby, looking good. We're going to talk a little bit about Brian's artwork, a little bit about Lindsay. Well, Lindsay has been in the world traveling assassination business for quite some time, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about the food that we'll be enjoying Friday night's show. So without further ado, no more ados. The ados are out the D-O-O-R door. Brian and Lindsay Demeter. What's up, y'all? How are you?
Nice of you to violate the NDA right there in the intro, right?
Well, yeah, I figured it's going to happen. We might as well just get it out of the way. So I do want to say we're going to jump right into it. We were just talking about green beans. Now, Lindsay, you chatted a little bit about you teased a little bit about on Friday. One of the courses we talked about a couple. One of them are going to be some delicious green beans, and I'm a green bean fiend, which I like that it all goes together. I feel like I need a shirt or a sticker that says green bean fiend. I think somebody would buy that. I would buy that. You know what I mean? So I want to chat a little bit about this because there's so many different ways that green beans can be made. They can be roasted and steamed. They can be boiled. They can be roasted in the sun. Who knows? They can be pan-seared and sautéed. They can be deep-fried. Walk us through, because I'm trying to build an image in my mind and a flavor on my tongue. Walk us through your green beans for Friday night, please, if you will.
Okay, so there's, like you said, lots of ways to make green beans, and I make them in lots of different ways, but this Friday night, I'm thinking about, just cutting off the edge and cutting them down into bite-sized pieces.
Oh.
And then I put them in a bowl and I grab some bacon grease because I'm from the South. So yes, I have bacon grease. And slap some bacon grease in there, slide it all around so that the bacon grease and the green beans become one. And then lay them all out nice in the pan. Throw some garlic on there, fresh pressed garlic, or garlic out of a jar, garlic out of a can. I don't care, but there's
garlic and bacon fat.
Yeah, garlic, bacon fat, salt. Throw them in the oven and keep an eye on them until they're done.
So what temperature are we putting it at? Because I love all those ingredients, and I will say this: those are such traditional ingredients. But I will also say that because I don't want to say because you're from the South, but the bacon, like the bacon grease, the bacon fat, the way that I don't think some people understand the power and how versatile bacon can be. Bacon grease, bacon fat, the flavors that come that are a part of that, and to add those to green beans, which are already amazing, yes. To pop a little garlic in there, also yes, and traditional. Garlic's a traditional thing, but I want to say, to me, the bacon fat probably is going to put it over the top and just give that little down home Southern kind of feel in your heart and soul. Is this a traditional recipe that you've made before, or is this something that new you're trying out?
No, when my mom made the green beans, she would saute the bacon and the onions together. And I may or may not throw onions in there. We'll see. She would saute the bacon and the onions together and then throw in canned green beans and just let them cook on the stove. And so I've kind of just adapted that to my own way of doing them.
Oh,
I look up recipes all the time, and then I go rogue on the recipes and just kind of do my own thing.
Well, yeah, as is your way. No, I get it. That's awesome, man. And what would you say? How long have you been making green beans this style? Has it evolved over the years? Is this something traditional that you've kind of stuck to for a while?
Weeks, months? I don't know.
You've done that the whole time.
I don't know.
Nice.
It's always a mixture of 3 or 4 ingredients, but
awesome.
I think I started cooking them in the oven to make it simple because you asked about the temperature. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll probably set the oven at 375, and I'll do the green beans and the potatoes and the chicken all on the same temperature.
That's the way to do it.
About the same time.
I love that. Do you do it on like same tray parchment? Do you do second tray? Do you put it all together?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's fantastic. I love that. And that's one of the things. It's like a one cook. Everything goes in there 375, and you're just, everything kind of cooks together. And one of the things that I did a couple nights ago, I whipped up a couple fillets, and when I was finished the asparagus, I put the asparagus in the cast iron that I cooked the fillets in, and it had that butter and garlic and salt and pepper and everything, and that thyme and that rosemary and that garlic, and I'm just basting that asparagus over and over and over again. And it really kind of brought the whole thing together. Although the asparagus completely separately aside had its own flavor and the filet had its own flavor, it was a match pair. It worked perfectly. And I think it's brilliant to be able to, in the oven, put everything together. You have because all of those delicious flavors and those notes and those subtle textures are going to kind of blend with each other. It's going to be so good, so fantastic. And that's great. You had mentioned stuffed mushrooms before. Is this something that maybe on Friday, or were you just messing with my heart and soul? Were you tugging on my heartstrings?
No, I'm definitely doing stuffed mushrooms.
What do you stuff your mushrooms with? This sounds like a personal question, but it's genuinely about culinary arts.
So it is a spice blend that includes tomato and garlic and bell pepper and other things, and then I'll make it with a cream cheese and I don't know.
Cream cheese is a great idea. That's great.
Maybe put a little bit of pepperoni in there.
Uh-oh. How long have you been into cooking, Lindsay? Have you done it because you needed to? Did you do it because you enjoyed it? A little bit of both? Like, where's your affinity lie?
Go with about 47 years. I mean, I just grew up in a house where we cooked.
Wow, and you were actively a part of that.
Yes.
Nice. Were you asking and inquiring? Were you being instructed and taught? A little bit of both there. Like, how did your knowledge base come to be?
So honestly, my mom did most of the cooking, and I would just kind of watch from the side, but when it came to like big holidays like Thanksgiving, we were always, each of us was in charge of a dish, and we would all be in the kitchen together making all the different things. But we had the one dish that we were in charge of all the time.
What were you in charge of? Was it the green beans? What were you in charge of? Was it the stuffed mushrooms?
Doing your green beans.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wasn't the green beans your mom's recipe?
The green beans were originally my mom. I mean, if it's Thanksgiving, or we would go a little fancier with the green beans, like bean casserole or something like that.
Love casserole.
Sweet potato casserole. I love casseroles.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I think I could live on casseroles. So corn casserole, sweet potato casserole.
She's like, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, it would be casserole. Really? That's just the same thing over and over again? Well, casserole is actually a very vague term. You can have so many different types of casseroles. There's an infinite number. Yeah. And a question for you. What makes a casserole a casserole? Is there a noodle, a mixture, and a protein? Is it the way it's cooked? Is it baked all together in a dish? Like, what is it? What makes it casserole-ish?
All baked together in a dish with some sort of creamy dressing along with it, and
gotcha.
It all comes out in one pile on your plate, and it's a side.
Gotcha.
It's a side.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a side. Gotcha. I think a big part of that is kind of going back full circle, having everything in the oven at the same time and just cooking everything together. I like doing one pot cooks with a cast iron and just making everything together and cooking everything together, because again, those flavors and all those delicious seasonings and spices are going to kind of cook in with each other. This says, and we are right, ladies and gentlemen, a casserole is a baked dish that's made by combining various ingredients in a baking dish and cooking them in the oven. They can be sweet or savory. They can be served as a main dish or a side, which is interesting. I love that. Let
me ask you this. Is lasagna a casserole?
Well, let's see if it follows the requirements. It's a baked dish made by combining various ingredients. Yes. Baking it in a dish, cooking them in the oven. Yes. I would imagine it's a version of a casserole. I think it would fall also into the definition of like lasagna, which would be layered type of flat pastas with different types of red sauce and cheese and ricotta, maybe a mozzarella, depending on what kind of cheese hankering you got to put it in there. But I would imagine it would classify as a casserole. I think so. It's
adjacent. It's definitely adjacent.
Yeah, and we were talking about how vague casserole is. It's a very open term. So I think tuna casserole, I think, was one of the first casseroles I ever had, and that's Mama Floyd. She used to whip up a mean tuna casserole, and it had the chips on top. It was just fantastic. It was really, really good. And so I think lasagna.
Tuna casserole.
Really?
Are you on a recipe for me?
Can you, because basic ingredients, similar ingredients, but do you remember some of the accoutrements? Like some tuna casseroles have peas in it, some don't.
Peas good.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, yo.
Yeah.
Do you make a tuna casserole, Lindsay? Because I feel like you can make a mean tuna casserole.
Well, I haven't tried because I don't live in a house that with people who like casseroles. So if I make the casserole, I'm making it 100% for myself. So
Who doesn't like lasagna? That's crazy. I mean, I get it. I get it. We're getting into it now. Really? Okay. So you know what, Lindsay? I hope that at one day, sometime, you find a group of like-minded individuals that would enjoy and embrace a delicious casserole.
that's it. Next KitchenKillaz party, I'm gonna have to just try to make my mom's tuna casserole.
I think it would. Yo, that's what I'm talking about. Why? Well, okay, so now I have to make a party because that sounds like the agreement. The next KitchenKillaz party, Lindsay's going to make tuna casserole. Now I'm going to create a party based on this, specifically around it, so we can have it sooner than later.
Yeah.
I like it. Nathan says lasagna is a pasta layered casserole. Yeah,
I'll allow
I
it.
agree.
I'll allow it.
I shall allow it. I'm really excited. That's awesome. And I will say this. Every time that we have been there, it's been delicious food by you guys, or it's been food catered by Chrissy and Epicure. And I'm excited that there's kind of like a back and forth every now and then. Every now and then we have the Epicure, but this Friday night we have some delicious food whipped up by Lindsay, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be awesome. We're going to have Brian Demeter there looking just sexy. By the way, I got to say this. I really liked this background that we were able to do for the overlay. That's just a great shot. You guys are the epitome of desire, love, and healthy relationships. And I have to say that. I think a lot of people, including me, look at you guys as a shining example of how to be not only great people in your neighborhood, great people in the people's lives that you're in, but also to your friends and everybody around, and a great inspiration to Rowan, a great inspiration to us. You guys are such a fantastic team. And I will say, Lindsay, from the bottom of an artist's heart, to a lover of an artist, thank you on behalf of Brian Demeter and myself for loving the artists, because it's an interesting life, but you have done, in my experience, nothing but shown absolute devotion and commitment to Brian's passion for what he does. And not only is it hard to find people in the world that do that, but it must be a extremely rare diamond in the rough to find somebody who has all of the attributes that you have as a partner and a friend, and also as such a supportive person to be a great rocket booster, behind Brian. So thank you very much from the bottom of my artist heart to you, and maybe on behalf of Brian. Brian could be like, none of that is true, Billy. It's a great fun.
I call her Saint Lindsay for a reason. Because, we understand why.
And I gotta say, Brian, I see some artwork in your background. I see a wolf on the wall back there. We've got some Brian Demeter artwork. We do really well at MegaCon for the Drift Slide Collide stickers that was commissioned by Lisa Wine. Most of the stickers that we have from actually for our project are from you. Even Tipsy getting up in there. Love Tipsy, one of my favorites. It's really interesting to be able to kind of see all these things come together and to see how the three of us, I think we've been friends for quite some time. We go back. We go back 2015, 2016.
I actually met you at a convention.
Like
it was Josh Bauer, I believe, was one of the creators of it. It was one of the Ignition shows. That has to be way back.
Yeah, that was back in the day, dude. So I think I remember he had one at a High Lie place.
That was it.
Yep, that was it. And that was that was a long time ago. That was a really long time ago. So I'm happy that we've been able to support each other and stay in each other's lives for such a long time. And I've been able to see you guys grow not only as individuals, but as a paired team, and then also to watch Brian, dude, to watch your art change and evolve and grow so much, to watch how you're able to. I love to watch the natural evolution that I feel that you take, and I think you're very brave in some of the things that you kind of step into in regards to your technology and in regards to the level of creativity that you're always able to find, which is this it's a very different, like a lot of the house or the Hourglass shows, I would say your artwork has a sticker on it immediately, and almost always. And there is an X factor to you that makes your artwork I don't even want to use such a subdermal word like stand out. but it immediately connects, and people connect to it immediately. And you can get from young age all the way to people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They can look at your artwork, and you're able to, at the exact same time, touch the heartstrings of decades and generations of people. And I think for me personally, from the outside perspective, that's one of the things that I feel has been such a shining example of your artwork into the community, and then introducing me to another way of seeing art. So I wanted to bring up one of your latest pieces that you have on your Instagram. I was wondering if you talk to us a little bit about it, and maybe about the show that happened just a couple days ago on the 15th, and then walk us through what you have coming up in the future, because I know you're a busy dude. You've always got something in the hopper, baby. You know, you got a big calendar. So I wanted to chat about this. So let's talk about Suds and Scopes. What did this sci-fi art show? Was this your contribution? This art piece right here?
It was the theme for the show. So the art show was at Deviant Wolf in Sanford. Really cool place on First Street. Wonderful curator Andrew McMillan. The theme for this one was sci-fi, but it had a stipulation. It had to be pre-1950s.
Wow.
Which was interesting because
you can see it in the font.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, I love when they do that, because it adds a little extra to the challenge. Because right when I saw sci-fi, I was like, ooh, I could do like a mid-century modern style pinup or something. But then it's like, okay, that's out of the equation. So I actually had to do research for this one. And this one is Buck Rogers' battle cruiser from 1938. So I was like, and I was like, oh, this rocket ship is perfect. Like, it's colorful, because like in the 30s, you had like, they loved to just, everything was like over the top bright colors and, different things like that. And the aesthetic has that sort of, it's almost like Doctor Who, Flash Gordon kind of vibe to it.
Gotcha. Oh, I like the, actually, that's very interesting. So, dude, I just Googled Buck Rogers Battle Cruiser 1938. You are the #1 hit on Google for threads. I'm going to share this. With you. I'm going to share this tab instead, so you can see exactly what I typed in. So there it is, right there. Funny. I typed in Buck Rogers Battle Cruiser 1938, and there you are, #2.
Yeah, you can see the one above me. That's the actual toys that they made in the 30s. Like, they're really beautiful, like metal toys, and it's like they really had cool products. So it's beautiful how that condensed sort of theme led me to exploring things I probably wouldn't look at. I wouldn't go that far back, because I really love the mid-century stuff. So I would have probably just stayed in that ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to wow. And I will say this: I have a bank that it's a rocket ship, and it's a metal rocket ship, and it's a gray rocket ship, and it has a little red button at the back, and you would set your coin by the little red button in this little holder, and you would hit the red button, and it would shoot it up into like the head of the rocket, which would then go into the bank. Yeah. And it looked very, very similar to the first link that we saw. But I will say this, and we're kind of look at the first link real quick. I'm actually going to click on that, bring that image up real quick, just I think it's very interesting. So I do want to share this real quick so we can chat about that. So this is what it was based on.
Yeah, there were other reference materials in there. I would look at the comic books at the time, and and I think it was sort of like no one really knew what it looked like, so you just kind of had to have artistic interpretation. So I would take a little piece of this one or a little piece of that, or add my colors to it, or whatever.
and so then this is what you came up with.
Yep.
So walk me through some of the ideas on the detail here, like when you're seeing the dots and the lines and the swoops and the arcs, and you're seeing the circles, things connect together, where the flame's coming from, like that little details and the outlines, the way these are created. That's kind of the Brian Demeter twist on it. The little flare here, the little color here. So where did that style of design come from? Like, because I've been watching you kind of evolve this, and I heard a quote a while ago says, don't make what's bad good, make what's good great. And you seem to have found out what is good, and you are in the process of, and I feel in many occasions you have made it great. So where did this kind of style for you start? When did it begin?
So when I got out of college, I was a children's publishing illustrator, and my work at that time was very painterly. So it was very difficult to do. Like, when you got in the zone, you were in the zone. It's like you were plugged in the matrix. Like, you had that cord in your head. So if there were like any interruptions or things would happen, it would be like very difficult to jump out of. So we had our son at the time. He was a baby. So I had to figure out a way to be able to stop working on art like on a dime. So I was like, I have to figure out a way to simplify it down to where the process at any stage can be stopped. So it kind of led to this sort of flat vector, kind of almost abstract in a way vibe. And it just feels so therapeutic for me to work in this style that I've just stuck with it for years. And I think when you say it adapts, it just happens naturally. I'm not doing it to go, oh, I have to get to the next level. It's just naturally evolving.
Yeah, I would say a lot of that probably happens through just experience. You do one way and you go, oh man, I learned how to do that. And the next time you go, cool, I got a little better at it. I got a little better at it. And then the next thing you know, the pieces that you're taking, say it takes like, for example, a piece like this, how big is this? Because I can't necessarily tell the distance from the camera.
I'm holding it up. So it's probably like maybe, like, I think it was like 18 inches wide, something like that. Maybe
Gotcha.
about 6 inches high. That was a smaller piece because Deviant has a really beautiful brick wall that has artwork on it, but it's more conducive to have relatively smaller pieces for the group show versus other places I do. You could do a little bit bigger. So I did that on purpose. I kind of make them a little bit smaller if I'm working for Deviant shows.
So from concept to this is a finished piece, how long did it take you for this one?
I mean, it's a slow process for the actually working on it. That's the longest part. Like, so this one, I did my research. That probably took a couple of hours just to get the feel. And then I kind of let it create its mental soup. I let it just kind of process. And then once it's there, I just get the drawing down. So the drawing goes really quick, probably takes maybe an hour tops, just noodling around. Once I have that, I'll scan that into the computer and then turn it digital. And then it's really just coloring. And once I have that part down, the rest is just transferring the image to the wood. And then you can't really tell in that small picture, but I take a wood burner pen and I etch in all the lines, because that way it's one, it looks cool, and two, it locks the drawing into the wood. So as an artist, I don't have to work on making all the lines perfect. They're already there. So I do that, and then I'll put a sealer on. Got to let that dry. Put some gesso on. Let that dry.
Which gesso?
So gesso will only be in the area that's painted. So the wood part will not have gesso.
Okay.
It's a white gesso. It looks kind of like an artist primer. I use Liquitex is the brand. And then I'll paint all the colors, and I'll do maybe 2 or 3 coats each color. So that's a good thing of how I was talking about before. If I needed to stop and do something, it's not going to affect anything, because once you paint that color, it's a solid color. Right.
And
once that dries, I put a couple layers of varnish. So it's slow in sort of the processing of it. So I can't really, like, if you were to go, can you make one of these for me tomorrow? It couldn't happen, because every piece is like slow and it's kind of purposeful. And I think that adds a lot of sort of the love to it that I think, like you were saying before, people can feel to it, because it's not rushed.
Yeah, and it's and I would say I really like the fact that you said that, like, it's not possible. So if somebody said, hey, I want to commission a piece, this is what I have in mind, can I get it tomorrow? No.
Nope.
And a lot of times there are artists at conventions that do commissions, and what it's done with either oil or pencil or marker or whatever. A lot of times they'll take a commission. They can walk up and say, hey, can you do Batman doing this? Yeah, no problem, man. I'll get that squared away. I write your name down. I make a commission. The next day or the day after that, you come by the booth, you pick it up. But in this case, I think that is one of the things that kind of makes this such a piece, is the fact that you do have to practice patience. You do have to take your time. You do have to take care and manage each one of these layers. This isn't just a skill that you have that you're able to whip up in 20, 30 minutes. This is a skill that you have that you've been able to whip up over the last 40 plus years. And it still takes, because physics, it still takes time for things to dry, things to cure, things to set. And you can't move on to that next level. So I think it helps people practice patience. And also, for me personally, I will say this: if I have an idea and I know I'm probably going to be tapping you or speaking with you about it, I know I have to give you some advance notice. I know it's not going to be a thing that happens overnight. So there are some places where, yeah, I can go online, I can whip up some stickers real quick, I can toss up a design, have them shipped, and next thing you know, I got 500 stickers in my mailbox. It was something that I just drag and dropped right into the website, and it's taken care of. But I think a part of this specifically, and I do want to talk about Nathan's comment as well, talk about this specifically, is that it does take time. You have to practice patience. And when you look at when not you, Brian, I'm going to say this in a different person. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're checking out a Brian Demeter piece, please take into consideration the time that goes into every individual layer, all the lines, all the burns, everything that happens. It doesn't just happen overnight, ladies. This is a labor of love, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying. So when you see it hanging gloriously on your wall, just understand there are many, many moons that have passed since that idea popped into the brilliant head of Brian Demeter and became a fantastic piece of artwork hanging on your wall right now. I will say this, Nathan, it's your turn, baby. Your style is unique and awesome. I won one of your pieces during the KitchenKillaz anniversary show. It's a fish, and I love it.
Nice. Well, congratulations, Nathan. That's awesome.
Which is awesome, dude. I do want to bring this up as well. I was, popping around just, I check out people's Facebook pages because I want to see what's going on. I'm going to jump into this one as well, and I want to pop that bad boy up. And let's talk about this real quick, man. I mean, this is just some photos from your Facebook page. Nothing crazy. Brian Demeter right at the top. And these are some of the pieces that are laid out at some of your art shows. Now, I will say the Alice in Wonderland's piece, I've seen that in person. I saw that in person, and I think that went within 12 seconds of everything being like, okay, people, you guys can put in sold. I was like, all right. And I will say this, your price point on that was competitive and fantastic. It was made to rock and roll, and it most certainly did. So when I go to an art show at Deviant Wolf, at Hourglass, is this the type of layout that I can plan to see from other artists and other creators that are there?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was the most recent show at Hourglass. I believe it's still up. So you can go in there. It's Hourglass in Longwood on Ronald Reagan Boulevard.
And one of the things is you can immediately tell which one is Brian Demeter's. Like immediately, right away, instantaneously. This is brilliant, by the way. And I do enjoy your affinity for Star Wars personally as a friend of mine. But I really love what you've done here. This is absolutely brilliant with the blue and the red right there. Darth Vader on the right. You have the evil, you have the good, you have the Jedi, you have the Sith. So what was this based on, this piece right here? What was the motivator or the prompt for this piece?
So every year in January, since I think the opening of Hourglass, they've had the Star Wars art shows, and they're usually the biggest show for obvious reasons because there's a lot of Star Wars fans. For this one, I believe they usually had sort of like a sub theme, like Star Wars Sith or Star Wars vehicles or whatever. This one I don't think had a sub theme. So for whatever reason, I was like, it just kind of flashed in my mind, like because I try to shoot for. It's difficult. It's kind of a paradox. It's like it's this more simple it is in my mind is what I shoot for. And it's not because I'm trying to be lazy. It's just I want to make it like very breathable. Like you see it and there's a lot of breathing room to it. So this one I was like, ooh, that'll be awesome. And like the one you referenced, the Alice in Wonderland one, I had the side faces with different faces. And I was going to try to do that for this one, but I couldn't figure out what to do in between them. So when I kept looking at it, I was like, it's perfect with just their two faces. So sometimes in art, you have to go, I'm going to scrap that idea. I'm just sticking with this. And that one was an example of that.
That's a, man, I got it. Bro, that's awesome. One of the things that I've really enjoyed for a long time is your simplicity to it, but equally your complexity when you break it all down into the layers and the way that you have to create the piece itself. Like, again, another fantastic piece. And I will tell you this, until this very moment, I did not know that there was anybody else other than Alice and the Mad Hatter until I saw this piece right here. The only one that I've seen is the straight on.
Okay. That's
the only one that I've seen. And now I look at this and I go, I didn't even realize that was there. So walk me through this. How did you conceptualize this piece? It's so unique. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is completely different, like planes, that's in the back going to the left and the right with Alice and the Mad Hatter. And then you also have that 90-degree or that perpendicular to the Mad Hatter and Alice that's coming out as well. So is this you couldn't choose what character to go with and you just went with all of them, or did you already have this conceptualized? Like, how did this happen?
So I'm a huge fan of Pablo Picasso, and I love the cubist, abstract, sort of simplified, modern art style. So usually what I look at and I like is that. So I kind of meld that to my style. This art show was an Alice in Wonderland themed art show. So when I was looking at it, I was like, well, how can I make it have sort of how Picasso has like the different faces, like one's looking to the side, one's looking straight ahead.
Oh yeah.
So I just started playing around with it, and it just kind of came to me, well, all my artwork is on wood, so why can't I take a piece of wood and make it facing you, and then you have two sides. So when you walk around this piece, you can see it creates an abstract sort of face. So you have like the eyes are at different levels and the colors mess around, and it's perfect with Alice in Wonderland, and it's sort of quirky, swirly, trippy kind of atmosphere. So it ended up just, it kind of just flowed through. Like it's from the universe through me, and I think the universe creates it, and I just kind of make it happen.
That's it's interesting that you say that. When I find myself in the seat as well, and people ask me about how do I write songs, sometimes it's the exact same answer.
Yep.
I've heard my buddy Mark Smythe said a long time ago that all songs are already created, but the rock gods choose who receives them.
Yep.
And I was like, what a fantastic way to look at that. And really, you just kind of open that whole thing up. It could really be in any form of art or expression at all. Yep. You know, we're a vessel, a conduit, if you will. We're just delivering maybe a message in a specific form. This is interesting. Now, if I proceed, I think it goes into another shot of this.
Yes.
So we have Alice, we have the Mad Hatter, and we have Cheshire Cat.
Yep.
And then on the other side of that, now we're chasing the rabbit.
Yep.
Now, so for a part like this, especially when you bring it onto the computer and you start to build a digital layer, are these 4 completely separate digital layers that are then placed on individual pieces of wood that are then connected together? How did you build this physically?
So the Mad Hatter and Alice, if you look at that was relatively easy because it was. So I basically drew Alice, I drew the Mad Hatter, put them together, and then I had the dimensions of the hat versus her bow and all that. So the most challenging part was the rabbit and the Cheshire Cat. Yeah. Because that shape, the outline of the ears and the face has to be the same for the Cheshire Cat. So if you go back and look at the cat, I had to get creative with the moon and the sky because there was some negative space there.
Right.
The ears were not going to match. So that was kind of, that I had to play around with. I had to get the bottom to line up, like where the underneath the collar or the chest of the cat and the bow of the rabbit. So there was some sort of playing around with that I kind of got lucky at when I cut the wood pieces out. There might have been a couple things I had to tweak to get the lines to meet up. But other than that, that was definitely separate pieces. So potentially I could make separate characters, but they wouldn't have a back. It would just be cut off with a solid line.
Man. And I will say this because we talked about this a little bit before. This little red dot in the lower right-hand corner, does that signify that somebody's picked it up or somebody's bid on it?
That they don't have, unfortunately, they don't have bids. I wish they did, that they had auctions, but the red dot means that somebody has bought it.
Wow. And so, I think I was actually there for this show. I think I came by for this one, and I will say that was one of the first ones that got a sticker on it. I think it was one of the first things I heard when I walked in. It was like, there's already a sticker on Brian's, and I go, yep, I get it. You know, that's 100%. And it is interesting, as we were kind of talking about before, when we look at the artwork that are on the walls, and a lot of the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. You know, one of the things that I also like about Josh Bauer is he has that style. He has that flair with him. He has that way, that stroke for him as well. You know, I do always think it's very, very interesting to watch the individual nuances of artists. You know, and again, a piece like this, it stands out. You can see that Brian Demeter style. You know, you can see that flair, the way you use your shading and your colors, the way you create the features, your human features. It's very interesting the way that you're able to kind of bring this together, create these multiple layers on one plane, and then have everything pop individually, stand out on its own, but not so much that it takes away from the other aspects of the art piece. You know, I think that's super, super fascinating that you've been able to kind of capture that and then just grow it, just evolve it throughout the years. And it's been fun to watch you evolve, you know, over the last however many years, 10, 11 years that we've known each other. And to see that happen, and to see that not only has it inspired me, but my friends, my family, and even Nathan, one of the coolest pieces freaking ever. You know, I think my parents have some Brian Demeter stuff. Michelle has some Brian Demeter stuff. I have Brian Demeter stuff. And I think it's a testament to not only how strong our community is, but how awesome and creative of an individual you are. And I think from all of our hearts to you, thank you for sharing your gift with us, and inspiring all of us. So both of you guys individually are very inspiring people, and together you're like a dynamic duo of inspiration. It's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to Friday night. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. I know we have Landon Nolan's going to be stepping in, playing a couple jams as well, which is always, man, I got to tell you, one of my greatest pleasures in my history of music has been right now playing bass with him and Tyler on drums. Landon is such a fantastic, not only human being, but an amazing writer and musician. Amazing. I love watching his head work when he's working through everything, and I'm just sitting back because I have an easy job. I just get to chill in the shadow, play a little bit of bass. I'm here for a little bit of guidance, but I'm here, and Tyler and I both do a great job of this. This is Landon, and we got his back like two rocket burners. Yeah. And to watch him stand here at 21, 22 years old, and to work the way his mind works and the level of creativity and the way that he writes like an 80-year-old. He writes like somebody who has so much wisdom and so much knowledge and so much experience. He writes from generations beyond where I am. And I go, man, how does he write from this perspective at such a young age and be able to speak so deeply about it that it's not just surface level bullshit? He's really getting into the nuance of emotion. It's amazing to watch him write. So it's going to be a lot of fun on Friday night. I'm super excited to be able to split a set with Landon, and then to be in the presence of my man Rowan, the savior, of the world. It's to be.
Alice will be here too, and she promised she won't unplug the internet.
Dude, she's so funny. I think I saw Jennifer's son at MegaCon on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, he came, and at first I didn't notice. I didn't remember him because he had a mustache. I was confused, and so he comes up. He's like, "What's up, Billy?" And I go, "This guy's way too young and cool to I don't know this guy," but he kind of seemed familiar. So then I recognized him right away. So he was saying that they were going to try to be there as well on Friday night to be able to see everybody, and it's cool because the shows at the Demeters are like a family reunion. It's really nice. We usually get together once or twice a year, and it's always awesome to be there. The environment is so healthy, it's so empowering, and it's one of those things where, and I'm sure, sometimes when I'm on stage, I feel like I have to win the crowd over. I could feel the energy of, I don't know, I'm not sure, who is this? But when I'm there, it's immediately we're just part of the family. And it's like we're just playing to our family. We're playing with our family. So I would imagine that Landon probably feels very similar because he's known you guys for such a long time. You're actually the ones who introduced me to Landon. I think by bringing him by for a Friday night show, and then you heard him playing music because you guys share backyards. Is that how that happened?
Well, the way we met him, you want to tell them the meeting story, because that was the coolest one with that.
Yeah, he is right behind us. We are separated by a fence, but Brian got an email from his mom, and the email said, "Hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer for my son. He's a musician, and I think you're 96 feet away from us. I think you're our back door neighbor." Yep. And so apparently, we don't have super security on Brian's website because the address is clearly published.
Yeah. So they did a who is.
Found us, and I think we've met at the fence many a time to conduct business or pass food back and forth or beverages or whatever. And their whole family has just become so dear to us. I mean, they're all such amazing people.
They are individually, I love Ryan. Ryan looks upon the world like a child looks upon Toys R Us for the very first time, and I love that about Ryan. Jackie, I feel, is quiet and wise and brilliant.
Oh yeah.
She sees and hears and watches and understands everything. Yep. So that is one of the, and it's kind of funny. We're literally just talking about Jackie and Ryan, and Landon just popped in. So Landon's giving me a salute. Ladies and gentlemen, Landon Nolan.
There he is! Woo! Nice.
Look how good looking this guy is.
Wow, I like
Fantastic.
the beard going on. Look at that.
Right, dude. I told him that the last time he came by. I said, "Bro, I love him, man. Looks fantastic, dude." Landon, perfect timing. We were just talking about how you guys met, actually. How Jackie had reached out to Brian in regards to putting something together for some art for you, and the fact that they went to the .com, did a who is look up, and found out that you guys live 96 feet away from each other. Awesome.
Yes.
So, and then next thing you know, we all fell in love with your entire family, dude. So we're talking about Friday night, about splitting the set. Lindsay's putting together an incredible menu, and then all of a sudden, boop, here's Landon Nolan.
Now we need a song.
I just saw your message. I'm glad I checked my phone.
What was that, Brian?
I think we need a song called 96 Feet Away.
Yeah. 96 feet. I'll have to break it down into inches.
96 feet. Yeah.
Centimeters. Different verses.
Yep.
Oh, I'm excited. That's awesome, dude. What a cool little world. So we were just chatting about Friday night. We're getting a split a set. Lindsay was talking a little bit about this incredible menu that she's putting together, which I'm really excited for. And then we just got into a little bit of the history of Brian Demeter, his artwork, kind of his inspiration, where he reaches out to, how he touches the community. Then we were just chatting a little bit about your musicianship. We're going to be rocking on Friday night, and how much fun I'm having playing with you and Tyler. Just having a good time. And how your mind works, sir. How you speak with the wisdom of a 124-year-old man, and we don't know how you do it. And then here you are. So thanks for popping in, dude. How's your night?
It's been pretty good.
Good, man. How's your week looking for shows? What do you got? What do you got on the docket? Where, if we wanted to go here, Landon Nolan, where could we go?
I'm going to be playing at the Hard Rock. I'm going to be there on Thursday night and Saturday night. And then on Friday night, I'm going to be over at Brian and Lindsay's house. My backyard.
Yeah, 96
Their
feet away.
backyard, my backyard. I'm going to be over there on Friday night. And then on Sunday, we hit up the studio. So I'm excited about that.
Ooh.
Dude, it's really amazing that I get to contribute what I get to contribute, and then watch your brilliant mind work. And I think this will be our third or our fourth time in the studio.
This would be the third.
Third, gotcha. And I really like the process that we're using here. I don't know how much you want to share, but I do enjoy the process. I'm excited to hear the album, dude. How many tracks can we anticipate?
Anticipate 10, maybe a little bit more. Something like that.
We're going full album.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do a short album. It's gonna, what do they say? No holds barred. It's gonna be everything that I need it to be. I want to tell a story. I want to bring people into what I'm creating, and let them kind of acclimate to the temperature of the water that is this music, rather than create something that expects to be like good for what I think people want to hear. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So in other words, just writing music as usual. But the thing is as you play a lot of different events, and as you do these things and live with the songs, sometimes they change a little bit over time to, suit venues or live atmosphere and that type of thing. And so it's been an interesting process in writing the songs. Some of these songs are very old. One of the songs, the first one we went into the studio with, Kept Inside, I wrote that song probably 5 years ago. And so writing that song and then being able to see it kind of blossom with the band, and then taking it out to perform and seeing it change, but then having to go in and like redefine what the song is, and really, the kids would say, touch grass. You know what I mean? Like you got to pick some dirt up and be like, oh, that's what this song was when I wrote it. Let's take what's new and good, but let's not forget what the song is at its core and what makes it work. You know what I mean? And so it's been real. In my opinion, that's been what's been challenging about these two new songs that we've prepared for the studio. Let me see. Am I still here? You guys see me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. It backed out on accident. But these two latest songs, I would say, have been the most challenging in my opinion, just because we've taken them out and played, a song like Numbers so many times, and I've played it in so many different ways, acoustic, with bands, in different arrangements, and making it what it's supposed to be, and trying to keep it centered is really, really important. And so we've been looking through all the tempos and all this stuff, and just the stuff I won't get into, boring things, right? But I've been obsessing about it like crazy for the last 2 months. Our last day in the studio was December 28th or 29th.
Yeah.
So technically we haven't recorded since last year. We've spent the beginning of this year with these 2 songs.
Yeah.
Just because they've changed so much, and rediscovering them, and a song like Black Ink, which we're working on, a song like that, which wasn't even completed yet. And so really finding our way to the end of that song has been very challenging in some ways, but it's also been really rewarding, I would say, up until about 2 weeks ago when I got tired of playing these 2. But yeah, just I feel like as a musician, it's helped me, like trying to apply myself to like the mission that each song has forced me to become better at guitar in a lot of ways. And so I've seen a lot of growth just working with you guys, even in my acoustic stuff. So it's been really exciting in that way.
Yeah, it's I got to say it was, and you mentioned this last time we had a rehearsal when we were kind of jamming, and you say this many times. I'm not a lead guitarist. I'm not a lead guitarist. I'm not a lead guitarist. But when we're playing through these latest 2 tracks, and we get into that end part where you're just kind of going off. One of my favorite parts about that is there's sometimes, and we can tell you're in the writing phase, and Tyler and I, we just repeat it over and over and over, and listening to you figure it out is such a blessing for me to be there for that process, and to then watch you hone it down, and you mold it down, and you sharpen it, and then once you get it, bro, you hammer it down. You play it 1 billion times, and then you bring it in, and all of a sudden you are ripping this amazing lead guitar riff, bro. I mean, just going nuts with this beautiful solo, and the entire time, no, I don't really do this. I'm not much of a lead guitarist. I don't really do a lot of solo stuff.
Well, it's because if I were to have to compare, and this is the thing, I saw an interview with Jimi Hendrix, and some guy was like, oh, so a lot of people say, and the interviewer was being like sarcastic. He was like, a lot of people say you're the best guitarist of all time. And he says, I'm not. I'm just good at what I need to do. And that's kind of my approach for any of the instruments at all. So
I love that. That is a great mindset to take. Question for you: do you know, just because inquiring minds, do you have a release date planned or an idea of when this album might come out?
Okay, yeah, an idea. It's going to come out this year. It really depends. So right now, and I mean, this, but for Brian and Lindsay and for the people who are, who may be watching, it's the process right now is we take 2 songs, we get them ready, we really understand them, and try and have them, very clearly laid out, and then we bring them in as a complete finished product in some sense early on in the process, and we do something similar to like scaffolding. And so we go in and we record the bass and the drum. We do record live to a click to get the rough, and then we go back in, leave the vocal hanging in the track, and we re-record our parts over and over and over again to try and get really, really, really good takes, so that way we don't have to re-mic things or anything like that. So later on in the process, when we're layering and when we're mixing and mastering, we have all of the tools we need and all the pieces and building blocks to really make something special. And so within that, we only bring 2 to the studio at a time right now. And my goal has been every 4 weeks to bring, 2 songs in. In December, we actually brought 4 songs in. We brought in Zealot and Kept Inside on December 8th. And then on December 29th, like 3 weeks later, we brought in 2 more, which was Lockdown and Luminous. And and so it went really fast right off the bat there. But these 2 latest songs, along with, just some life stuff like, scheduling, that type of thing, getting these 2 new songs ready has kind of pushed things out a bit, in my opinion, but not in a way I didn't expect. I didn't expect the first 4 songs to get recorded that quickly. Kind of the basis of them, but basically what I'm saying is once the basics are recorded and we have the drum and we have the bass, then we're only limited by the layering process and the vocal and the mixing and mastering. And so with that being said, one person can work a lot, can sprint a lot faster than, let's say, 3 people, you know what I mean? And so we can kind of record I can record at my own speed once these basic things are kind of tracked in. And so, and this is my first time recording a studio album like this. And so I'm actually not sure how long it's going to take. I do know I have a lot of ideas for certain songs, and especially for some of the instrumental tracks, I don't know how I'm going to acquire the resources needed. And I mean like location and that type of thing, to record some of those. And so I might find myself limited just by circumstance a little bit, I feel like. Because I had some ideas, and Billy knows about them. I don't want to go into detail, because then if it doesn't happen, it's terrible. But there's just some ideas that I have, and
the world is over. It's over.
Yeah. But
I think it'll work itself out, Landon. To be honest with you, man, I think the universe. I think, you know, if you're thinking about it and you're hearing it, my man, I think the closer and closer you get to it, you'll be able to feel it, and I think somehow you're going to be able to find a natural navigation to be able to have this album be everything you want it to be. You know, sometimes, what does Martin Luther King say? You don't need to see the entire staircase, just the next step. You know, it's like, just believe the staircase is there. So I genuinely think that somehow the world is going to work out where you find yourself at the doorway of this perfect happenstance of connection. You know, I think it's going to work out. And again, no pressure. It's Landon Nolan, baby. You do whatever you want. We wait for you, homie. Okay, you're not rushing for us. You know, and I like the fact that you said that. Like, you're writing for these songs to be a world that you create, an environment you create, a feeling that you create, and you invite people to be a part of it, and they step into your world instead of writing for people, you know. And I think that's where you and I, there's several different things where you and I kind of match up, because I'm the same way, you know. Like, people say, how did you write that song? I didn't write it for anybody. I wrote it to actually. Sometimes it's just personal expression. I'm just expressing something that I feel. And then if people enjoy it, that's awesome. But I didn't write it for anybody. You know, so I think in this case, it's going to be interesting to invite people into this world that you're creating and immersing them in 10 songs, that's a lot, dude. So one of these, I believe it's going to be one of these no skip albums. You know, like, we've all got our no skip albums where I can put the record on and listen from number one all the way to the very, very end, and I'll cycle all the way back in, and I'll probably listen to it again. You know, and I think, knowing what I know, which is a little intimate details about the album, I think the song choice, I think the selection, I think the way that you're going to put it together, I think the way it's going to ebb and flow and move and climb and crash, I think the way that you're going to put it together is going to be a very natural, full range of experience that is going to kind of take you to the apex of emotion and also land you safely. So the next thing you know, the album's already started all over again, and you're 2 and 3 and 4 songs deep, and you go, did I just listen to that entire album? That was fantastic. I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, you know what's funny is the first recording session we went in for, I got the rough drafts back, and I came back to practice like the next couple of days, and I was like, guys, that was 13 minutes of music.
Yeah.
It was 2 songs.
2 songs.
That's 13 minutes of music off of 2 songs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited, because again, a lot of people write it to be radio ready, so they write it to be 3 minutes long, 3 minutes 10 seconds. You know, I mean, we have some songs, dude, where we're going like 6-7 minutes. You know,
Numbers is a 7-minute song.
It's a 7-minute song. You know, again, it's one of those things that I feel, to a degree, if people are writing music for the radio, you're going to get one product. If they're writing music just because they love writing music, you're going to get a completely different product. You know, and in this case, I don't think anybody even looks at any of this as a pursuit to be radio ready. You know, I think you, myself, and Tyler have the same, I think we're on the same page, where we want it to be able to breathe, express itself, especially with the level of nuance that is involved. You know, I think it's going to be and I would say Nathan brought up a couple things where he's talking, I can't wait till the day I can say I knew Landon Nolan before he became a superstar. Fantastic. Landon Nolan's Super Bowl halftime show.
Guys, you know, when I see that, the first thing I think is how cool some of the songs are as like standalone pieces. Like, Billy, could you imagine Super Bowl halftime show Numbers?
Yes.
And people know the song?
Yes.
With backing tracks? Holy smokes. A 7-minute performance of Numbers at like an arena. There's something about some of these songs that really get me fired up. Like, Numbers is one of those songs that get me fired up. Like, if we were to go back to Fids or anything like that and play an open mic with some backing tracks, I would want to hire someone to film that just because of how outrageous it would sound. You know what I mean?
Oh
It would
yeah.
be like silly. It would be funny. I would watch it and laugh and be like, this is so cool. But it's really funny. Like a lot of people, and I was like this early on, and I'm starting to think maybe rightfully so, but a lot of people, they get, the work of creating something is very personal. It can be like an emotional experience. Yeah. But what I found is when I'm feeling overwhelmed or when I'm feeling kind of like, man, like we've been sitting with these songs for 2 months. Holy smokes. What's happening? Like, just let me go. Let me go and do this creative process of layering this thing finally, because that's where I'm going to have a lot of fun, right? Not figuring out these songs that are like, oh man, how do I want it to end, or like anything like that. What's going to be fun is like going in and saying, okay, I want a choir matching what the pipe organ is doing at the end of lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. And then to go in there and try and achieve that sound and to sit there and just brainstorm, that's like all I can think about. Like, everything's just right here, right now. It's just like right here.
Dude,
and I want to get it
right
down.
At the gate, waiting for the gates to open up so you can just run.
Yes. Yeah. And I really want to, and I want to be able to tackle this, and, but, I could say I'll probably have a lot of the layering and tracking done by the end of the summer or by the midsummer. But as far as recording and photos and like, what's the picture going to be? Oh my goodness. What's the picture going to be? Yeah. And then, I want to have canvases for all of the Spotify stuff, like you had said, it's not radio ready, but I mean, look at what we're doing right now. This is long form content. I think the internet's totally changed things long before we realized it had, you know what I mean? Even long before I realized it had, and I'm 23. I'm starting to realize that if you do your own thing and you're thoughtful and you're genuine about it, and you have something special, like, you can stand behind that, and whatever happens, and that's what I want to be able to do with this. I want to be able to extend this song as like a handshake. You know what I mean? Like, hi, my name's Landon Noland. I'm an artist. Listen to the album. Here's my handshake. You know what I mean?
Here you go. And then people go, okay, I'm going to listen to it, and then we're going to see how it makes me feel. And I think that's an interesting thing for anybody to do. And, Brian, you and I were kind of touching base on this a little bit earlier about your uniqueness to your style of art as well, and how, like, the way that you naturally found it out, you didn't purposely try to evolve. It was just a natural thing of evolution through repetition and learning and ideas and knowledge and wisdom and advice and trying new stuff. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't work, and then we know it, we learn it, we keep moving forward, we become more efficient, more effective, and then we're able to kind of like naturally find ourselves in that flow of creativity a little quicker, a little more naturally, because now we're used to it. We're like, oh, this is what the flow of creativity feels like, and it takes a lot of time, and Landon, Brian and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, how it's at 23 years old, you've been able to hit this really, really smooth flow of creativity, and watching you work, watching Brian work, for me personally, it's been fun because, Landon, you and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and for me to watch you evolve as a musician and watch Brian evolve as an artist, for me personally has been just a wonderful kind of experience to kind of see you guys both evolve so naturally and in such a unique way, and still creating and producing such unique art every time you turn around. And as a musician and a writer, I always go, okay, how do I keep it fresh? How do I keep, they say redundancy is an artist's worst enemy, repetition is this. And so it's like, okay, well, how do I naturally do it? I don't want to try to make it different. I just want to kind of naturally find that flow. But every now and then I'll go, okay, no problem. This actually doesn't sound like anything I've ever written. And I was so scared that the next song I wrote, I'd written all the songs. There's no songs I can write. I've used all the chords. And then next thing you know, here's something unique. And I go, okay, cool. I just have to believe that uniqueness is a natural part of that staircase that I can't see the entire staircase of. I just take that next step. So it's going to be interesting, not only full circle to watch you guys grow uniquely, but to come together on Friday to rock a delicious menu. I don't know if you're a green bean fiend, Landon, but if you are, you stay away from my green beans, you son of a... There's going to be stuffed mushrooms as well. There's going to be some delicious...
Okay, I like those. Those are good. I haven't had those in a long time.
Well, bro, Lindsay already got me locked in, baby. I'm locked in. But before we get going, because we just hit our hour. Thank you for joining us, Brian, Lindsay, and Landon. Landon, what do you have in store for us on Friday night? You got some ideas for some tunes? What's crack-a-lacking in that beautiful brain of yours?
I haven't seen the whole staircase. I'm waiting for that next step to kind of come into sight. No, but we'll see. We'll see. Probably some originals. It'd be cool if you joined me for maybe one or two. That was really cool last time. The video that I got from that turned out really, really good as well. So maybe some things that we've worked on in the studio that would be kind of cool. Things that are kind of getting prepared for the album. Maybe a cover or two. But I do want to say though, the album that you just put out, Billy, it was really cool to see you put something out, because like for a long time, I would go to the shows and I would see you perform and do all these songs, and I had like favorites, and I was like, man, he's got to record these. Like, these are good, like these have to end up somewhere where I can listen to them. And then for some of these newer songs to end up on that new one, that was really cool. Like I was really happy to see that, because I was like, I was thinking to myself, I think I was talking to my mom. I was like, who's putting out music? You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, who's putting out music? Because like I know some musicians, and I feel like they put out music, but then it's like, I don't know. And then you put out an album, and I was like, okay, cool. I was like,
somebody's doing it.
Yeah, I was like, yes, yeah. A lot of it is that, like, you understand, Billy. We have conversations. Like the whole "somebody's doing it" thing is huge. Yeah. And so, like, you put out an album, and it was like, all right. It was like, let's go, And the songs are really good, and that type of thing. I don't know. I feel like it keeps the community alive. That type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like right now, to a degree, it's our turn to carry the torch. It's right now we're the ones, Brian and Lindsay and you and I, we're the ones that are carrying the torches of creativity right now for our time. And hopefully there will be people behind us, and they will be the ones to carry the torch, and we'll be able to be like, heck yeah, man, look at them, they're crushing it, dude. Really, really happy to see that torch is being carried. So it's and you and I have talked about the state of the musical industry, especially in Orlando, many, many times. And I've been here since 2002 been part of the music industry for the last 23 years. So it's been very, very interesting to kind of watch it ebb and flow, watch the venues come up and go away, and watch the scenes change, and the bands come in, and the big bands come in, and the money come in, and to watch that all kind of move and groove. But underneath all of that politic is still the necessity of good music, the necessity. And whether it goes anywhere or not, that's not up to us. We just do our best to create it for the world, and if the world connects to it, that's fantastic, wonderful. If they don't connect to it, that's fantastic, that's wonderful. I'm just going to keep playing music, and writing some stuff. So, it's good that we're able to, all of us are uniquely able to kind of like grasp our passion, create a piece of expression with it, and then share it with the people around us. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago is you will never know how many people you impact. You will never, ever, ever, ever know. In the 3 people that come up and tell you, hey, Landon, that's a beautiful song, man, thank you very much. There are 300 people that didn't say a word. There are 3,000 people that have never met you in person, and they've just heard you on Spotify, and you've moved them and inspired them. And I think that's part of the thing with art, is it's a very humbling thing, because we may be like, oh man, I hate that song, I can't stand that, I don't even know why I released that song. And then the next thing you know, somebody says, Landon, I was just listening to your album, and bro, Lockdown blew my mind, man, absolutely moved me, thank you so much for putting in on that album. And you're like, okay. So it's like, just to try to understand that we're never going to hear it. But I'll tell you, from my perspective, it's been an honor to be a part of this album with you. And I think I can speak for myself and for Lindsay right there, and for Brian on the other side, that we're all inspired by your musicianship and your creativity, man. We're happy that you're a part of this community. We're happy to be a part of the community as well. Just like Brian, we're all happy to be a part of your world, man. And Lindsay, thank you for inviting us into your house on Friday night to just have a good time and get together, play some jams, which is going to be so much fun, and eat all the green beans. All the green beans, Landon. Don't you touch my green beans. No, I'm just kidding. We'll make some special ones for you.
I'm not going to touch any green beans, but yeah, I wanted to say, art does inspire art. Like, Brian created this behind me right here, and this was for my first EP that I put out. And also, this thing's sitting in my studio.
Oh, nice.
This bad boy right here.
Nice.
And so, this right here is the image of intensity. You know what I mean? Intensity, power. This bag This guy right here. So
that is awesome. Holy smokes, dude. I don't think I've seen that piece before, Brian. That's
it
incredible.
weighs like 20 pounds.
I don't doubt it. You can kill a guy with that thing.
That's
Bro,
just-
look
Look
at that.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, walk me through it, man. Where the inspiration for this one coming? Did you make this for a show? Was this a commission? What happened?
It was a couple years back. That's called the Smilodon. That's the saber-toothed tiger. And there was a lot of energy surrounding it at the time. I met this a guy in Portugal, actually, that makes these really cool – he makes these really cool, like, little figures. You know, like they have, like, Warhammer or whatever. But he made a series of, like ancient native peoples and the animals. Like, so he has, like, a mammoth and a Smilodon. So I was just vibing on that, and I just was like, I got to get one out. And Landon was like, he went right to that one. I think that was at an art show, and he was just like, woof. He just knew. He knew that. I guess that's his spirit animal. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw it on Instagram when you were burning it on the wood before you painted it,
Yeah.
and I was like, I kept my eye on that one.
He's like, I'm coming after that, baby. Where are you going to be? Man,
And the one behind Landon, actually, Josh Bauer painted that one. He painted it off of the design that I did, but that's actually his painting.
Dude, I was going to say it had a Josh Bauer-esque feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one here was live painted at, and man, it's like inverted. Hold on.
No, it's not.
This one.
No, you're good. You're good. It's not inverted. It's
No,
fine.
on my camera, it does. When I move, it does opposite. But yeah, Josh Bauer did this live at at like an album release party that I had done, like back when I was 16, something like that.
Man.
And that was really cool.
That
was really cool.
Now we just commissioned Bauer, and he's got one. We got one hanging in our house now.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a cool community thing because like all these paintings behind me, it's 4 different pieces that are all autographed, and all those pieces were done by Josh. So he did all of these pieces in 4 different live streams.
That's
which
cool.
he did one for us for Halloween in like 2018. And he didn't want to do it at all. He's like, absolutely not. I can't do it. It takes me far too long. I go, bro, it's okay. It'll be absolutely fantastic. He did a Jack Skellington that was out of this freaking world. Blew his mind. He did it in 30 minutes. He was like, dude, I can't believe I did this. And I go, bro, I knew you could do this. I'm so happy that you did this. So I love the fact that we all support each other. Like from Brian Demeter to the art to the music to everything. Like, what a cool community. Happy to be a part of it. And I'm excited that all of us are going to be together in like 4 days. That's gonna be a lot of fun because I know I got some new jams for you guys. I know Landon's got some great music for you guys. Lindsay, I'm super stoked for the menu. And Brian, every time we're over there, man, you know we're always in the presence of creativity, and I'm always checking out your art room because that is just. It tags all my squares and ticks all my buttons for 90-degree angles. I just love it 1,000%. I walk in there, I just feel such a sense of peace. It's really awesome. So I only get to do it once or twice a year, but I just go in there, I soak up, I get my batteries full, and then I just go, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy. And then I can leave, and then I can go away. You know, but Landon, thanks for joining us tonight, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm gonna put this backdrop up in just a second. But Landon, one more time, where can we see you this week? You said Thursday and Saturday.
Yes. So on Thursday and Saturday, I'm going to be playing at the Velvet Bar at the Hard Rock Hotel down in Universal Orlando from 8 until 8. Wait, I think. Yeah. Anyways, until further notice, it's from 8 till 11. I think maybe one of those dates might have changed from 6 until 9, but maybe not. I'll have to post about that on my Instagram. But yeah, I'll be playing there, and then I'll be at Brian and Lindsay's house, and so I'm excited about that. Busy week.
Brian, do you have an upcoming art show? Something that you got in the hopper? I know you just had one 2 days ago. So what do you got baking?
The next one will be at Hourglass in Longwood. It's called Disney and Theme Park Show. So I did a kind of an abstract Steamboat Willie that you'll get to see because I'll show it to you when you're over.
Nice. Actually, did you post a picture of this online already?
Yeah. I did the comp of it. And I think I did maybe a wood burning.
Yes.
You know what? I think
it looked almost like a grayscale. It almost looked like a grayscale Mickey. I was looking at it a little earlier.
Yeah, Steamboat Willie is what it is. So it's the
grayscale Mickey.
A grayscale Mickey, a Steamboat Willie. 96 feet away. I'm excited, Landon Nolan. I'm excited. I do want to bring up this background real quick just because it looks so good, and then we're going to go ahead and end the show on this. So a community conversation joining us tonight was Brian and Lindsay Demeter. Also, a brilliant cameo by the amazing Landon Nolan. So this was the community conversation with this fantastic couple. Landon and I are going to be crashing their kitchen on Friday night, which I'm really excited about. That's just a couple days away. You can find us live at 9:05 from the humble abode of Brian and Lindsay Demeter. We're going to have some good friends and family there, some tracks and some songs by Landon and myself, a lot of laughs, a lot of fake websites, and who knows, maybe Landon will have a song called 96 Feet Away. We do not know. But
no pressure.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. If you guys don't mind hanging with me for just a moment, let me go ahead and wrap this. I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. The Time Scales greets from San Francisco. Well, hello, San Francisco. My name is Billy Floyd. This is the KitchenKillaz Community Conversation, and we will talk to you guys soon again. Patreon, 7:35 on Wednesday. Just for you Patreon listeners, haha, some new tunes, some new stuff, all the tea from MegaCon. And this Friday at 9:05, catch us live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Everything KitchenKillaz, one word with an AZ at the end. You guys have a good night. Sad of trouble. I love you. Bye.